Hi, Spandana.
Hello. So, you have seen installing this plugins and all right yesterday, I hope.
Yeah.
We didn't have a proper AND code yesterday, right? We'll first complete this AND part and move ahead with other sections.
Okay.
Yeah. So, yes, sure. GitHub. Upload files. So, details. Take test. It didn't get updated. Yes. Says uploading, it's not going to upload. This will connect with WinSCP to the instance. WinSCP. I'll try it once. What happened? Slash home slash EC2 user. I think we are done. Yes. check who's in recipe, settings, pin source, mobile.xml. What is the clone URL? I'm just adding the code. Status will be just commit -n. Just need to add remote add. Now comes the most. I forget. Done. We have everything here. Fine. So where's the clone link? Here. Just copy it. That's it. We are done. Project 2. Configure. then we'll do compile. Okay. Java compiler. Let's go stay here. Something like a compiler. It's a jar, create jar project, which I have to start, okay? DIST. Let's try one more. I'm not sure. It does say, it says that path is not properly set. Java path is not properly set. It is invoking, and thing is it is not able to find Java home path properly configured. Manage Jenkins. The tools configuration. Starting this plant. Okay, just throw any stick in Oracle account. It's not required. Yes. So let JVM Boomi. We'll do one thing as of now. This is working fine, but still it's not able to find a compiler. Anyways, configure. Total targets are there. Test is there. Compile is there. So target names. Let's see if it works. We'll first do an upstream and a downstream project. Yep. It's not having any dependency. That's the reason it is able to execute it. It doesn't need a compiler or something to run a clean. We'll come back and see how we'll set our Java home path. Before that, first we'll concentrate on upstream and downstream jobs, which is more important topic. Let's see. So what is an upstream job? What is a downstream job? So the job which is running in first, there are two jobs, and wherein first job 1 or project 1 is the first job that is executed, and project 2 is the second job that is executed. This scenario, project 1 is called as an upstream job and project 2 is called as a downstream job. It is not a two-stage thing. It could be multiple, multiple stages. Project 1 followed by 2, 2 followed by 3, 3 followed by 4. Wherein in this scenario, project 1 becomes the upstream job and project 2 is the downstream job. Whereas if it is project 2 and 3, project 2 is the upstream and project 3 is the downstream. It goes on in this way. So why do we need a upstream? Why has this upstream and downstream concept come? And why is it actually used? Where is it actually used and why is it helpful? So first thing, upstream and downstream jobs have come like this because, so you did a task 1 or project 1, and after task 1, after successful execution of task 1 or after failure of task 1 or in any scenario after project 1, you wanted some other task to be done. So how are you going to handle it? So you're not going to come back to Jenkins console and check that, hey, this is done. So now I have to do another thing. So, but that's not going to happen. So what you're going to do is you're going to configure both upstream and a downstream projects, wherein task 1 will be an initiator for a task 2. Project 1 will be a trigger for project 2. Let's see how we are going to configure it. We'll know it better. Whatever is there in project 1, we'll continue with the same thing. So in the configure section, what is happening in project is nowhere related to us. Okay. In post build actions, you have add post build action. Okay. Build other projects. Project 2 is the other project. It says trigger only if build is stable, trigger even if the build fails, trigger even if the build is unstable. Stable means if it is like if you have run build for 10 times, 7 to 8 times it is successful, it is like it has a stable environment. But when it is successful for half of the time and not successful for half of the time, it says it is in an unstable environment. Okay. That's it. I saved it. Do a build now. I don't see project 2. For this, the downstream project is project 2. It says. Project 2 is a downstream project for project 1. It shows clearly. Project 2 shows something as an upstream project, and whereas 8 is the build number which is built now recently. We didn't trigger it. We saw 7 was last successful build, and 8 is something which happened now which is not triggered by us. See, I'll again do a build now. It's happened. Enable auto refresh. See, 9, build number 9 has been done. Okay, so this is upstream, how we are linking a upstream and a downstream project. Okay. So there is one more option, one more feature I wanted to show you. One or two more features. Coming to post build actions. In add build step, we have copy artifacts from another project. So what is this feature and how are we going to use it? It clearly says that you want to copy artifacts of some other project. Okay, so what is the project name from where you want to copy the artifact, and do you wish to copy the last successful build, or do you wish to copy the last failed build, or upstream build that has actually triggered this job, or a downstream build, or a specific build number, whatever it is. So you'll specify it. You'll say which artifact to copy and which artifacts not to copy, a target directory, and any parameters we put, and we will save it. So that if at all I'm saying from project 1 copy artifact to project 2. So when I'm saying copy so and so from project 1 to project 2, it will copy that file as a part of the build process. Okay, so if at all I don't want to build my code every time. Let's say build section is not required every time. You have dev, two environments, dev and production, let's say. So you're going to build your code in dev. Okay, that is run Maven build or Ant build or run your own specific thing. Okay, compile your code, and you have some deliverables or deployables. Okay, what are they? Jar files, var files, EAR files, some HTML files, anything. Okay, you have it. As a result of build, these are generated. You have to pick them up and do a deployment. Okay, so when you're going to pick them up and do a deployment in dev, it's fine. You built it there itself and you're picking it up from there and doing a deployment. Very good. But now, how if you're going to do a deployment in production environment? How are you going to do it? You're not going to pick it up from here and do a deployment there. How are you going to do it? Very simple. Rather than actually, what we would do is, if we are supposed to follow the same procedure which we are following in dev environment, that is pick up the code, build the code, deploy the code. What happens? The version which you deployed in dev environment might be different from the version which you deployed in production environment. How come? Let's say there are some 10 lines of, there is the same code, I built it, I deployed in dev. Now again I checked it out from GitHub and I built and deployed it. Meanwhile, you have logged into GitHub and you have made some code changes, or just now like how we did, you actually uploaded few new more files and went and you saved it off, left it. Without knowing this, what I did is I went ahead and pulled this code and did a deployment in production. So what happens? It will lead to two problems. First one, if there are any issues in the newly added code, I'm not going to check it in the dev, but putting it directly in the production, which is going to affect my production traffic. First thing, that should not happen. And the site is like this feature, whatever you have added, should be compatible with all the other applications or existing features already present in their system. If you're not checking it, your dev, your QA, all the stages will be in one version and your production will be in some other version. That should not happen. For that, we will be moving artifacts in some other way. Okay, it is through an artifact plugin, or it is copying it from a specific folder, or it is uploading to a server and downloading it from there and then doing it. It depends totally on a requirement. But if you want to copy artifacts, we will be taking help of this copy artifact plugin. Okay. You have any doubts so far?
No, Spandana.
Okay, sure. Here also you have build other project option. So now you can build some other project with this. Okay. So there is a build pipeline view plugin. I think we have seen this plugin, right?
No.
Manage plugins. Build pipeline plugin. Okay. Take a minute. Just wait. So from project 1 to project 2, it is an automated trigger. It is a downstream job, but it is an automated trigger, right? So now if I want to make sure that it is a manual trigger, how are we going to do it? I'll show it. I want a plus option here now. Build a pipeline view. Test view. Okay. Based on some upstream or downstream jobs is the relationship which it is holding. And select initial job which should trigger project 1, project 2 or whatever is the job you want to make sure that that is the initial job or the first job to be triggered. Project 1. Okay. Restrict triggers to most recent successful builds. Allow a manual trigger. Yes, you have to select yes here. Number of displayed builds. You can put 5 is enough. Okay. You'll get a view. See. Okay. Now I'll run, but still it will work the same way we were doing it the earlier time. Just see it. I didn't do anything. It only built it. Okay. So now, what is that difference which we wanted to do? We'll see it here. Project 1. Configure. In post build action, build other projects manual step. Remove it. What is the project? Project 2. If you want to add any parameters, you can add. You can add some parameters. Save it if we require. Now I did a run. We will refresh it even more time. One more time. We'll refresh and see. Okay. Project 2. Trigger builds after other projects are built. Or else Yeah. Project 1. So now says a trigger. When I give a trigger, let's build project 2, right? It is not directly building it from project 1 to 2, but it has waited for me to give a trigger. Once I've given a trigger, then only it is able to do it. Let's try it. I think build trigger is not required or something. Let's see what's. The 9. Because this is not required. Again, build triggers also makes it. Upstream and downstream projects, either an automated thing could be either done from post build action trigger another job, or build from build triggers you can put build after other projects are built. Both options will make this job work after. See, when you configure there in project 1 it says after project 1 do project 2, but if you configure it here before in project 2 it says before executing project 2 execute project 1. That is the difference. If you have to run something as something is to be run, a pre-run has to be done before this thing. We'll refresh now once again. Right? You got a trigger. So when you give a trigger, only this project 2 will be built. So this is a manual transition from a project 1 to project 2. In which scenario is it used? Where in a scenario where you want to link all the projects together, but you want to trigger it to the next environment only when it is tested properly in previous environment. In such a scenario, we will be using this build pipeline view plugin. Okay, so this is how we are going to use the pipeline view plugin. Build plugins, execute deployments, plug administration management, upstream and downstream jobs. Okay. So what we'll do is we'll do, like, we know how to do deployments using Apache, we know how to do deployments using Tomcat, right? We know how to do a deployment, but how are we going to do a deployment from Jenkins side? Okay, so this you are going to do it with some sort of a tool. Okay, see, it's like Maven. With Maven you can go ahead and do deployments, that's all fine, but I'd like to explore something else. It is code deploy, which is AWS component, AWS code deploy, which is used to do deployments. It is one service. So that is when public cloud like Amazon Web Services used, deployment with AWS is a must-known skill set which is used these days, which is quite popular these days. It's a new feature. Okay, so we will try to do deployments with AWS code deploy, where in return you can specify you want to do a Apache deployment or a Tomcat deployment. It all depends on us, but you will use AWS code deploy. Okay, so rather than going with all the other old things which are already there in market, we'll explore AWS code deploy. Okay, so I'll show you where is code deploy. Okay, for code deploy we will just install one plugin and leave as of now. So we will create an application and try to do a deployment tomorrow using AWS code deploy. Okay, that completes the pipeline, and then we can complete the configuration management tools even. Okay, so that's the only thing left. Manage Jenkins. Manage plugins from the available list. Code deploy. AWS code deploy plugin for Jenkins. That's it. So you're done with installation of plugin. It needs configuration of an application and providing few details there, so which we can use for deployment. We'll continue with it in next session. Okay.
Okay, Spandana.
This Friday, right? Okay, fine. Chalo then. Sampath, try this upstream downstream jobs and check it out with this build pipeline view plugin.
Yeah, okay.
I think I'll share you the zipped. I'll share Shiva the zipped codes of both Ant and Mammon. Okay. Try setting Java path and try running this Ant plugin. It would work out.
Okay. And you said you'll share me the document also. Oh, no.
Which document?
The one which you showed me about Maven and common terminologies used. I mean common validate
Okay,
and
that
everything
one. Okay,
in the previous.
okay. Fine. I'll share that document as well then.
Yeah,
Okay.
sure.
Sure. Bye.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Bye.